Every single week, what do? We practice private money lending best practices, principles, fundamentals, and we just stay sharp, right? So when Chris Naugle, the founder of Private Money Club, and Stephen Nagy, Shauna, and the gang asked me to do this webinar, I said, okay, great. What's the goal? What do you want to accomplish? And the word that kept coming up over and over and over again was education, education, education. And if we can just find a way where we can help everybody, as much people as possible, increase their education around how to borrow, how to be a private money lender, how to use people instead of banks, and create these win-win situations, then boom, that's a win. That's what this webinar is all about. So if you're hopping on every week, you're staying sharp, you're mastering your craft. If you have a deal, it'll be easy for you to say your elevator pitch and to say what documents you pay or provide to your lenders, what interest rates you pay to your lenders. If you're a lender on the call, then hopefully, if you find a great deal that needs funding, you know what questions to ask, and we're starting the learning process. So let's get into it, guys. We always start right on time. Here we go. Recap. So last week we were at Money Tank. Private Money Club puts on this big event, flagship event called the Money Tank. It was down in Orlando, Florida. I figured I'd just give you guys a little recap from my point of view. And I'll tell you what, it was the jump start that Christy and I were looking for. You know, lots of time I'm on here doing the webinars, I'm teaching and things like this, but we still need to get plugged in every once in a while with the community, face to face. You know, it's so good to meet people. The energy that you get in an environment like that, it's hard to replicate anywhere else. So it was great to be at Money Tank. We came back with some deals fell in our lap, and the connections that we've made there felt helped us feel real confident in how we're going to get those deals done. So it was really cool. It was an awesome time. Enjoyed the workshop. These are some of the photos the team grabbed for us, so you can kind of catch the vibe. That's my beautiful wife, Christy. There, Christy was teaching on mobile and manufactured home investing. And you guys know this. I didn't realize this until Christie's session here. And I live in South Carolina, so one in every five families in South Carolina lives in manufactured housing. Isn't that bonkers? That's crazy. Almost 10% of the population, I don't want to get this wrong. I don't want to misquote, but it was like 10% of the either the population or maybe it was new home sales or something along these lines was almost 10% was manufactured homes here in the US. So Christy was speaking on that topic, and then what was cool was we actually met another speaker there or another person there at Money Tank who they invest in land. And so they have all this land, all these lots, and they're trying to figure out, hey, how can I get brand new manufactured homes onto these lots and then rent them out or sell them, right? So it was really cool, the networking. This was down in Universal Studios, and I took that picture to make my kids jealous. That is the Chocolate Emporium. Have you guys ever been to Universal Studios and walked into that place as like an ice cream connoisseur, as like a dessert junkie? I highly recommend Universal Studio. That place was awesome. So we had a great time. I think I'm wearing the same shirt there in this picture as I am right now. I had so much fun at Money Tank. I didn't even change my clothes. Just straight to business. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we had a great time. Networking in the ballroom and outside of the ballroom. I snapped this photo of Chris Naugle there teaching, and that was at 8:30 in the morning. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our fearless leader here, Chris Naugle, a founder of Private Money Club. This guy is always teaching. Always. Like, I don't know if he just carries a flip chart in his back pocket, but if you know Chris and you agree with me, give me a big oh yeah in the chat box. Like, people who are just discovering Private Money Club for the first time, they might not be like, oh, who's Chris Naugle? This guy's always helping, always teaching. Christy and I learned so much that weekend, and I'm really excited. Maybe I can drip out some of that knowledge for you guys over the next couple of weeks of some of the things that I took and some of the things that I learned from Chris and all the other great speakers that were at the event. So it was an awesome time. Got to meet some super cool people. The folks in this picture there, like I didn't know several of them until the meeting. So it was really, really cool to see. Some of you may recognize Home Equity Line of Credit, HELOC Joe there in the back of that photo. We're hanging out with one of the absolute best educators when it comes to buying and selling notes Kevin Shortell, and another founder of Private Money Club, Stephen Nagy, and it was just really cool. That was actually at a karaoke bar there in Universal Studios. So if you guys, quick little, I'm gonna keep talking about this, and then we'll get into the private money stuff. I promise. But I gotta ask you guys, have you ever been to one of those karaoke bars like this one at Universal Studios, where it's a karaoke bar, but they have guitar people playing guitar, they have a drummer, and they have two backup singers and backup dancers for when you go up to sing your karaoke. Have you ever seen this before? And they put on the stage like they make you feel like a rock star. It was so much fun. Has anybody else done this? If you ever are in Orlando, Florida, go to this place. I forget what it's called, but it's at City Walk. I think it's called Rising Stars. It was so much fun, so much fun. But that's the vibe. And what does this have to do with private money lending? I think it has everything to do with private money lending. We work with people in this business. I work with my friends in this business. I make new friends. I mean, and you can create the win-win. You can create the win-win for yourself and for your borrowers and for your lenders and it is a person people to people business. We'll talk more about that, but it was awesome. Next time you guys have an opportunity to go to a Money Tank event, I would certainly recommend it. Um, Anytime now, so all right, so let's get into this. Anytime that I teach, anytime that I am on stage or on a Zoom call like this, or even anytime that I'm just talking one-on-one with someone who is interested in working with me in my real estate investing business, I always talk about the risks. And if you're on this call right now and you're thinking about becoming a borrower and using people to fund your real estate deals, get really good at talking about what could go wrong. And the more you address and plan for things that could go sideways, the more prepared you're going to be in today's market. At the same thing for my lenders, I would be asking, if I was a lender, I'd be asking my borrower, hey, tell me what could go wrong here. What are some blind spots that maybe you need to make sure that you're planning for, right? What happens if the market goes down 10%? What happens if you don't sell the house for what you think you're going to sell it for? What happens if you don't make a payment to me, right? These are the questions that you got to ask, the tough questions and see how people answer them, right? So yes, it's great. Everyone loves the idea of using people. Where else can you go to get all the money that you need for a fix and flip, purchase price, repair costs without having to go to the bank? That sounds nice, right? Where else can a person put money to work and having it secured by real estate that's worth much more and make a nice interest rate while doing it? That seems nice too. But stuff can go wrong, right? A big reason why I love teaching this class and the accelerator class for the Private Money Club is I like to share real life experiences and knowledge that I have being in this business for so long and share with you deals that people come to me all the time and they say, hey, Noah, I lent money. It was a 6-month loan. It's been 12 months and now they're not calling me back. I mean, this happens all the time. And I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. Did you get this document, this document, this document? They say, no, I didn't know I needed any of those things. Holy crap. Well, did you ask them this question, this question, this question before jumping into this? No, I didn't know to ask those questions, right? So I would never recommend someone get into private money lending with no education around the topic, right? Because you don't know what to look for, you don't know what to ask for, right? So that's why we hop on these calls. That's why PMC is always educating. That's why Chris carries the flip chart in his back pocket, right, in the easel. So he's always in teacher mode, right? So make sure you learn whatever you decide to put your money into. Make sure it's fun to you. Make sure you enjoy that topic because you're gonna want to learn as much as you possibly can about what it is that you're doing, right? And private money lending is no different. I'm not a real estate attorney, accountant, licensed contractor, real estate agent, anything of the sort. What I am though is so I'm not teaching from those perspectives. I teach from a real estate investor's perspective. This is what I do every day in my business. Okay. Does that make sense, folks? I hope it does. I think I got a question in here already. Natural disasters. Yeah, that could absolutely. Natural disasters. One of the things I've been telling a lot of my students in the accelerator program that want to be lenders and borrowers is, hey, you're going to find some good deals. Good deals might fall into your lap, but you got to make sure that that's not a good deal because it's in a flood zone. You got to make sure that that's not a good deal because there's mold in the property that was never remedied, right? From a hurricane or something along those lines, right? So these are things you got to look for, right? Pull up the FEMA maps, look around, right? So That's a great point, Robert. Natural disasters are something that it seems like more and more we're having to add that to our checklist and making sure that we're not doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. And the uneducated, that's a great point. Robert said in the chat box, he said, "What else could make this risky? Scammers." 1,000%. 1,000%. You're absolutely right. So I see people all the time who they're just they just trust too much. Look, you have to inspect what you expect in this business. It is your job. If you're going to be the lender, who's your underwriter? Who's underwriting the deal? You are, right? So yes, a person can make a nice double-digit rate of return, have it, yeah, but make sure it's actually secured by real estate. Make sure the right paperwork is done. Make sure the person that you're lending to has a system set up that can, they're serious about this. They're gonna get the project from the start to the finish line, right, and get you your money back. Never mind your interest, right? So we got to make sure that we're doing things the right way and that we're working with good people. And one of the things, and you guys brought it up, not me, but when it comes to this, I do teach a class for Private Money Club. It is called the Accelerator Program. Mark said, "When is your next accelerator course?" And Joseph answered the question. It does start January 5th, right? It does start January 5th. So one of the things that we really help people do in that class, and I'm talking about this because this is a good learning lesson. We help folks with their credibility in this business. And let's talk about credibility for a little bit here. Borrowers need to have credibility, right? You don't want to lend as a lender, you don't want to lend to someone who doesn't seem credible, right? But one of the things that I see that gets missed a lot is that lenders tend to think that just because they have the funds, that they don't need to work on their credibility. I have the money, what's the big deal? Why should I have to work on my credibility? Well, as a lender, it's really important for us to be smart and to understand what we're doing and to have confidence in the questions that we're asking before having conversations with people, before lending, right? Credibility, I believe, does a couple different things for the lenders. Number one, credibility can help a person make more money. If I'm working with one of my private money lenders and there's someone that's done a lot of business, they're very sharp, they're very savvy, and they say, "Hey, no, I'd love to fund this deal. It's going to be 14%." I say, "You know what? All right, let's do it." I have no problem paying more to someone who comes off as extremely credible, right? And has that track record, understands what he or she is doing. The other thing that credibility does for the lenders is it keeps them safe. So the very first thing that I help people do in this class, and I'm telling you this because maybe you can do it after our call, right? And just get some ideas here, is if you create a profile inside of Private Money Club, which I'll show you how to do for everyone that's new on the call. I'll show you Private Money Club, how to create a profile for free, right? How to get in there and network and meet people. Like one of the first things that we do is how do we get this profile to just glisten with credibility, right? And some of the things that might help with that, if I was a lender, how do you stand out? Well, let's talk about your current career outside of real estate. What's your background, right? For the last 20 years, what have you been doing? How does that parlay into your lending venture, your lending business, right? That you're getting into and starting and doing. So that could add layers of credibility there. But the big thing that I would look for is what are some of your lending policies? As a private lender, you can have like your own company policies or lending policies. What does this look like? So, one of the things I might recommend for my lenders when you create your private money club profile is I would put in there some of your criteria, right? I want to make sure that every loan that I do, it has a mortgage, a promissory note, a personal guarantee, and I want to be listed on the insurance, right? Those are my big four, my fab four. I want to make sure I got those. If that's you, then you can feel free to message me. Now, what is that going to do? That's going to do two things. It's going to attract the right person to you. You're going to attract people that are like, "Oh yeah, I do that. I do mortgages. I do promissory notes. I can get you listed on the insurance, right? I provide personal guarantees, even though you're lending to my LLC. Yeah, check, check, check." But the big thing that it does is it helps keep people safe. So if you are working with someone who's full of crap and full of shit, or is a crappy real estate investor, sometimes I think people aren't necessarily scammers. I just think they're really crappy real estate investors. And they just try to cut corners. They don't do things the right way, right? Or they got some coach telling them that, oh, you don't need that. You know, you'll be fine with just a promissory note or some crap like that. Look, what keeps people safe, right? What makes private money lending so great is the fact that these loans are recorded and you have the collateral, right? So I truly believe that if in your profiles, your credibility is so important, not just for borrowers to attract lenders, but for the lenders to attract the right people and keep the people you don't even want to mess with from messaging you with opportunities. Does that make sense, guys? I didn't mean to go off on too much of a tangent right there, but is this good stuff? Is this too much? Private money lending is relationship based, like we've been talking about, but these aren't handshake deals. Okay, so it's relationship based. So you got to find your people. Okay, you got to find your people. Now, I do have a couple of deals. So I see some of my lenders on this call right now. If we've done deals in the past, shoot me a message. I got a couple projects that are ready to go. The new deal alert. I don't want to make this webinar about me, but if you don't toot your own horn, who will? So I have a couple projects. If you're interested and we've done business in the past, feel free to message me. If we haven't, let's talk. Let's start building the relationship. You can find me on privatemoneyclub.com. I'll show you how to find my profile. But one of the things that's really important for everyone that's new on the call, and this is also a great review. We talk about this every single week. It's really important that when we talk about the private money club, the context of what a private money lender is. So what do you think of when you hear the term private lender? What do you think of? I see some great questions in the chat. Can you guys do me a favor and put them in the Q&A section? I think you can go like Q&A, put your question there, and I'll make sure I come back to it. These are really good questions. I will answer them. Joseph said a person. Shannon said hard money. Howard said not a bank. Matthew said expensive money. Could be, right? Has access to a ton of money or their own money. Okay, cool. I like it. I like it. Maybe they're borrowing from here, lending here, something along those lines, right? Maybe they have their life insurance policies set up and they're ready to be their own bank. They're going to work that system that Chris talks about all the time, right? Person who can lend you money at a better return rate of return than the bank. Maybe they can beat the bank. Maybe they can't. I don't know, right? What's cool, but what I like, the common theme that I'm seeing here is that you guys are saying the word person. You guys are saying the word person. And I, I have to chuckle at that because yeah, so maybe this is a funny thing. I'll just share it with you. I'm real on these calls. And I'll tell you what I'm thinking when I laughed there when we said it's a person. So my youngest son is autistic. He's 9 years old, and he goes to speech class twice a week. And lots of times the things that they're working on in speech class aren't necessarily like how to pronounce things, but like really, what goes on in the head and how to take what's up here and have it come out because he doesn't do a whole lot of talking. And one of the exercises that my son is doing and he's so smart, he probably thinks this is the stupidest thing ever, but they're making him do it until he shows that he can master it. Is we have little pictures of people and then we have little pictures of things like objects, and he has to put them in the pile. Is it a person or is it a thing? That way we can start to put together like who questions, what questions, where questions, and things like this for him to answer and do. Anyways, so whenever I hear the word person now, I always think of him being so pissed off and going person, 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 thing, thing. And in my mind, I went to, hey, we should do that with private money lender exercise, right? Private money lender, bank, that's a person, bank, that's a thing. Anyways, that's where my mind was, right? You're 33. Okay, so I'm glad some of you might know what I'm talking about a little bit there, right? Never a dull moment. So, but yeah, it is a person. It's a person. And where a lot of people struggle with private money, and maybe this is you if you're on this call for the first time, you might be thinking, okay, private lender, this is a person. Like I don't even know who to talk to. It's really difficult for real estate investors, and I know a lot in my marketplace here in Columbia, South Carolina. People, they call me like the private money person, the private money guy. All I'm doing is having conversations with people. And a lot of real estate investors in my market, maybe you can relate, are only using either their own cash or they're using hard money lenders to fund their real estate deals. And that's how they've always done it. And so even the most experienced real estate investors, if they've never used people, private lenders to do their deals before, sometimes there's this like educational gap or maybe this confidence gap. and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm going to keep using the hard money lender, and I'm going to keep paying a little bit more than I might be able to get otherwise, right? It's just kind of how it is. Outside of this, if I went to down my street right now and I went door to door, right, and I got a lot of retired people in my neighborhood. I'd be curious to see how this would go if I actually did it one day. But if I went down my neighborhood and I knocked on all the doors and I said, hey, my name's Noah. I live across the street. How would you like to make a nice double-digit rate of return and having it secured by real estate? Is that something that you'd be interested in? I'd probably get a lot of doors slammed in my face, or people would think I'm a scammer or whatever, like Mark said, right? So, but if I'm talking to the right people, I'm in the right room, I'm on the right platform, and I say, hey guys, I've got a new deal. Who here would like to make a nice double-digit rate of return, having it secured by real estate that's worth much more? I'd probably have people lined up to have that conversation, right? And that's kind of where Private Money Club comes in. So if you're just learning about this stuff for the first time, that's exciting stuff. We're gonna learn how to do this, and I'm gonna help you learn how to find your people, right? And I'm gonna help you find your people. That Christy Duckett, that's my wife, Christy Duckett Harris, and Christy always says you just gotta find your people, man. Is there anyone on this call right now who has a deal that needs funding? I'm just curious. Did you click on the Facebook ad or however you got yourself here because you're like, hey, maybe that's for me? Is there anybody that has a deal? Shannon? Okay, cool. Anybody else? I might use Shannon as an example here. I have the house. Bernice has the house. All right, all right. So Shannon and Bernice, I'll share with you what I would do and how I would leverage the Private Money Club platform to get as many eyes on the prize as possible. David has a lot of deals in the pipeline. Cool. David, do you do any wholesaling? Is there anybody on the call that does wholesales here? Like you put the properties under contract and then maybe you don't flip them yourself, you just sell them off to other investors. Is there anybody that does that? There is a lot of people in Private Money Club that I've talked to who would love to fund those types of transactions. So I'll kind of share with you what I mean. But like, okay, so let's say, whether you have a deal or, if you're aspiring to do deals, let's do this. I'm gonna ask Joseph and I's favorite question. How many of you are on the call right now because you love the idea of using people instead of banks to fund your real estate deals? Type borrower in the chat box. Multifamily? Absolutely. I'm looking at a small multifamily deal right now. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, cool. All right, real estate investors are coming in. All right, Shannon's coming. Shannon and what was the other person I was going to get? Bernice. Okay, Shannon and Bernice. Okay, cool. All right, borrower. I love it. Now, on the flip side of this, because we've got about 50, 60 people on the call right now, how many of you love the idea of putting your money to work and having it secured by real estate that's worth much more? And maybe making a nice interest rate cherry on top. Type lender in the chat box if that's you. We'll find that a lot of people do both, right? All right, cool. So there's the lenders. Oh my gosh, you guys do exist. You guys do exist. I have some friends that think private money lenders don't exist. They're like right up there with uh, the boogeyman and Bigfoot, right? Just urban legends. But they are. And you don't get to meet people that do these types of things if you're not in the right room. If you're not on the right Zoom call, you're not on the right platform, right? So OPM only. All right, cool. Borrower, investor, and lender. I love it, David. David's got the multiple streams. All right, cool. So yeah, we're out here. We're out here. We just gotta play. We just gotta play matchmaker. I'll share with you what I would do. So for my real estate investors, all right. So this is kind of cool. Bill says I need funding for two preschools. That's pretty cool. You know what's interesting about something kind of out there like that? Like when you say preschool, like not everybody does that, right? So like my wife and I, we invest in mobile homes and manufactured homes on land. Like that's one of the things that we do. And so that's uncommon. And so it's not like going and applying for a mortgage for a house that you're going to live in, right? So the space of private lenders, where if you have a good business plan and a good asset, right, and you can show that, people are going to want to listen to you, right? But here's the deal for Bill and Bernice and Shannon and everybody else. If you are a real estate investor, let me ask you this question. You're a real estate investor, like David's got a lot in the pipeline. How many offers do you need to make, right, in order to hear one yes? How many offers do you need to make in order to hear one yes? All right, Prima 101. I like that. I like that. Robert 100. Joseph 50. Steven 8 to 10. Bernice 20. I like how you guys aren't saying one. Right? So we want to make sure as real estate investors, we're deal makers. As a real estate investor, there's two things that are your primary responsibility as the owner of your real estate investing company. Finding deals. Oh, I just got some balloons. How did that happen? Finding deals and finding money. All right? Finding deals and finding money. So our goal to find these deals, how do we do this? Well, I know my mindset is I got to make 100 offers to find the diamond in the rough, the needle in the haystack, right? I want to make sure I'm not overpaying. Right now, like real estate's like what's going on in the real estate market? Like I got to make sure I'm buying super discount, right? So I'm very patient. I have a very specific buying criteria. If you are in my accelerator class, you probably heard me say that 1,000 times. What is your very specific buying criteria, right? So these are things that we got to figure out and work on. What's your buying criteria? Right? So I know that I gotta make offers in order to get one that comes back that makes sense. So take that same principle and apply it to private lenders. Okay? So how many conversations do you need to have? How many meetings on Zoom or over the phone do you need to have to find your people? And the problem that a lot of folks have is that they don't have private money club, so there's nowhere where they can knock out 50 conversations, 20 conversations, 10 conversations to help find their people, right? They're just fishing in the wrong pond. You know what I'm saying? So Shannon might say, "Hey, if I have conversations with five different lenders, I feel really good that one of them is going to be excited to work with me." Right? Or vice versa. I'll be excited to work with them, right? Shannon, is that what you're saying with the five? So it's so my the goal here as I share this information with Bernice, Shannon, David, and everybody else is not to get funding. The goal is to get attention. The goal is to create interest. The goal is to set up a meeting where you can start building the relationship with people. Now, could that happen fast? Sure, right? Could it happen a month from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? Sure, but it's a matter of starting the conversations, right? Starting the conversations. How many people can you go to, right? So I have two deals right now that are going to be needing funding here, right? So these are exact same steps that I'm going to do with Private Money Club that you can do too, right? So this is how you leverage the platform. I'll go through some steps and then I'll share with you the actual setting. Now, first thing I'll share with you the actual platform. I'll show you live what I would recommend doing. Step number one is to create a Private Money Club profile. If you haven't created a Private Money Club profile yet, there's nothing more important that you could be doing right now than going to privatemoneyclub.com and creating your profile. You can create a Private Money Club profile for free, right? There is a premier membership. There's some additional bells and whistles, but even at the free level, you can create a profile. You can post a deal, right? And you can get the ball rolling. So I'm a big believer. Everyone on this call, borrower or lender, should be creating a Private Money Club profile. The second thing is to post your deals, post about yourself, start to become known within the community. But you got to get your deal posted. I'll show you how to do that. I would also recommend presenting, right? So practice, put together some slides, put together information about yourself, about your project, and you can share it every single Monday with the Private Money Club team and the community. And anytime I've been on these calls, it seems like anywhere from 75 to 125 people are on these calls looking for opportunities, right? So you got to present that, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. And number four, I would participate. So the more you get out to events, the more you maybe you take the class, you get to know people. You're on the in the forums, networking and doing, and really helping stand out, creating a name for yourself. I do recommend that you participate with all the great things that Private Money Club has set up for you to do so in, right? And then anytime that you have a deal, I would repeat the steps. You can't just post once or oh, I hope it works out, things like this. A few weeks ago, our friend Jennifer Pertel, I think I talked about this last week, posted a deal, and I was kind of watching her deal. I was watching her post, and it was kind of getting to crunch time. It was like, oh man, it's been a week or two. It doesn't look like she got her deal funded yet. And Jen was kind of concerned that, she was only paying 10% interest. And she's like, I'm not sure, this community, they like a little higher. Like, I don't know if anyone's going to do it at 10%. I said, Jen, you're a great investor. This is a great deal. You deserve the right to only pay 10% and nothing more. I'm telling you, hold your guns, but you got to keep reposting and get that opportunity out in front of people. And she figured it out, right? She figured it out. She got the funding. Okay. So you got to, number one, create the profile. If you are in Private Money Club and we aren't friends yet, this is me. Go find my wife and I. Go connect with us. Post your deal in the deal section. I'll show you how to do that. Hop on the Money Club Mondays. Present your opportunity to this community. This is again, this is what I'm gonna be doing. These properties I got under contract here. It's the same steps to help get eyes. Okay, I'm not just because you're a Private Money Club member. I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't mean guarantee success or any of that crap. I don't know you if you're any good. I don't know if your deal's any good. But what I will tell you is this is a place where people are looking. Right? Is that fair to say? Okay. Participate in the events if you want to educate yourself, take classes. We have a monthly mentoring, like a group coaching session. The founder, Chris Naugle, hosts every third Thursday of the month. But participate, hop in classes. November 17th. Today's what, the 12th? Today's the 13th. So in 4 days, my wife, Christy, is actually teaching a class for the Private Money Club, and it's called the Mobile Home Take Action Challenge. She's been teaching this now for a few years. And if you're weird like us and you love the idea of investing in mobile manufactured homes, Christy is teaching a course on this through the Private Money Club. It's coming up. Joseph Nagasa in the chat box can hook you up. He can help you get enrolled into that class and give you all the details about that. But it's 4 weeks, twice a week. You meet with Christy, and she walks you through what she does. She's a big believer that if you take the action steps, that you're going to really align yourself with some opportunities here, which is pretty cool, right? Do you do parks or just homes? We've done both. We've done both. Christy's a big believer that I know a lot of people love the idea of the mobile home park. However, she's a big believer that if you've never owned a mobile home before, or a single unit in someone else's park, or one on land that that's maybe not in a park, that's probably the first step to really understanding how these work. So she's always recommending starting small before jumping into something, right? Because if you've never done one and then you buy a mobile home park and now you have 50, right? It's good. You want to make sure you have systems in place and a knowledge base around it. So we've done both in the past. I shouldn't say that. She's done both in the past. Okay. Accelerator coaching. If you need help with building credibility, you want clarity on how all this stuff works and increase your confidence. We have a new accelerator coaching class that's going to be starting January 5th. So start of the year, kick off the new year the right way. And I spend twice a week for 4 weeks. I'm working with it. People one in a small group setting. We limit it to 20 people. These are just some of the things that we cover in the first couple of weeks. If you want any information, you like my coaching style, maybe you find value in working with me, you can message Joseph, or as he said, hit him up and shoot him a text message, and they can enroll you into this class as well if you want more information on that. Okay. You'll see a link there in the chat box that says it's the blueprint. It says go.privatemoneyclub.com/blueprint. If you click on that link, it's going to take you to a calendar. Like maybe you can't talk right now, or you want to like actually speak with someone over the phone, ask them questions and stuff. That's the best way to do it. You can click on the link, schedule time, schedule a blueprint call with Joseph or one of the PMC team members, and they can answer all your questions and help you get enrolled in Private Money Club, which is pretty cool. All right. All right, let's take a look here. Let's see what's happening in the club today. Let's see what's happening in the club today. Let me look at some of these questions. All right, Ewan said, can you repeat the four crucial documents to secure your position as a lender? Well, what's really going to secure your position, Ewan, is the mortgage or deed of trust. So just like your bank, when you get a mortgage for the house that you live in, right? They're going to have you sign a mortgage, right? And then they're also going to have you sign a promise to pay. So the promissory note and the mortgage, deed of trust, right? Those are two really, really important documents. The mortgage is what's going to be recorded. So the real estate attorney, title company, the real estate attorney should be the one that's doing this. Okay, so if you ever sell your house, you refinance, right? There's a lien on the property, and the bank has to be paid off before any of that happens. So as the lender, wouldn't that be important to have? Absolutely, absolutely, that'd be important to have, right? So I'll cover those again here in a minute. Wait, what were your top four? Okay, same question. Yeah. What do you mean by the loans are recorded? Great. So Marcia, like in the county, You want to make sure after you do this deal, if you're the lender, you want to make sure that the mortgage that the borrower signed is recorded with the county. It's made public record, public knowledge, and now there's a lien on the property. So that person can't go and sell or refinance without having taken care of you as the first position lien holder, right? If you're the first position lien holder, right? So those are really important. There's other documents that we'll talk about what some of those are, but those are really important. What's happening in PMC? Okay, here we go. Can you guys see my screen? Give me a big oh yeah if you can see my screen, okay? All right, cool, cool. Awesome. What is the link for the mobile class? Joseph can hook you up with that. You just connect with him there. He's 2 comments ahead of you there. All right, cool. All right, awesome. Thank you for that. So step number one was creating your profile. So I'll show you what mine looks like, and this really shouldn't take more than a couple minutes to get you on PMC up and running. Okay. Now here's how I would maximize my profiles. Like what you wouldn't want to do is create a profile and then not put your picture, not put your photo there. Like you definitely want to have a picture of yourself, your family. What's the vibe, right? What's the vibe? So PMC allows you to do that. Chris Naugle calls this like the dating site for borrowers and lenders. So I imagine that dating sites, pictures are kind of important, right? I mean, kind of you want to make sure you know what's going on there, right? So this is kind of the same, right? We want you put your photo there, right? Spend some time. Now, on the right-hand side, you see these photos. I call these like billboards for your profile. So if you're an experienced investor, some of the things that you can put up here are some of your past projects. Like we do manufactured homes. So we might say, hey, picture, if you're interested, picture 5, 6, and 7. These are manufactured homes in the PMC profile. And they're like, oh, people are like, oh, wow, really? That's pretty cool, right? I have a image from my slide deck. So when I share on Money Club Mondays, it talks about the team, talks about my market, where I'm at, why I love this market, what makes it great, what makes it safe for good idea for lenders to lend in properties here in my area and things like this, right? I got pictures of my team, my wife on the right, my real estate agent La Rosa there in the middle, and one of our partners Erica there in the pink pants, and is just kind of create. I'm sharing the story, right? It's a relationship based business. Like this is who we are. This is our company, and when you fill out your profile here, like maybe you're just getting started, maybe you haven't been doing this for a long time, that's okay. But I would put information about you and about maybe your past experiences and if you are in real estate, like what's your goal, what's your niche? If you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna buy rental properties, okay, great. Like, is there a certain zip code? Is there a certain number of bedrooms that you focus in on? Like, get detailed here, right? And if you don't even have any idea of what you would do, like what your niche might look like, work on that. Spend some time on that. This is something that in the accelerator class I'm really talking a lot about with the borrowers. It's like, hey, you got to figure out what's your business model. Okay. One of the things that I like to put in here is, some of the documents that we provide our lenders, just showing, hey, that we treat this like just like a bank would want, a mortgage and all of these things here, right? And it's pretty cool. Like over time, you can start to get ratings from your lenders and things like this. PMC, you'll notice these little badges here. Like, so the orange envelope is showing that I'm a premier member with Private Money Club. Now, I do believe that we should only be working with premier members, and here's why. This is me. I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but for me, I do feel like the folks that have taken the extra step, right, and have a little bit of skin in the game to join Private Money Club, they're making a commitment. I just feel a little bit more like, okay, this is a real person. That means real business. With the free profile, I recommend it. Get started. But if you had a free profile for like 3 months, 6 months, or something like that, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. So I do look. I'm not saying I wouldn't click on a profile that didn't have it. However, I'm gonna click on the profile with the orange envelope first, if that makes sense. I think that's fair. The other thing that's here, there's a little badge, the pink one there. You also see purple badges there in some of the profiles. These are courses that I've taken that are included with Private Money Club, showing that I've taken some additional education and I'm a certified lender. I've taken the certified lender course through Private Money Club. So these are free classes that you can take. So once you have a couple hours on the weekend or whatever, hop on, knock it out, get the badge next to your name and learn something. Past deals are here. Your past posts that you've made in Private Money Club are here, right? It's pretty cool. Okay, so get the profile up. That's step one. Step two is post. So a couple different places that I would post. So I just posted this morning. Thursday mornings are my time to dive into Private Money Club. So I'll usually post, I'll look at deals, I'll see what's happening Thursday mornings. That's kind of like what my calendar looks like on Thursdays. I do this in the morning with my cup of coffee, and then in the afternoon I hop on and do the webinar. That's how I stay plugged into the community here, right? And you can see here, I would post here in the section, like if you're brand new, I get this question a lot. People are like, hey, I don't have a deal yet. Well, that's okay. What I would do is I would post in like the lobby page, this anywhere here in the feed, and just say, hey, I'm new to Private Money Club, looking forward to connect. Hey, I'm new to Private Money Club. I'm doing deals in, or my market's Orlando, Florida. I would love to connect, right? And just get people starting to become familiar with you, and so that when you do post something, they're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing his name. Like, let's see what they're all about, right? Now, the other place where I would post is in the deal section. How do you get the link to create the PMC profile? Joseph can help you out, but I think you just go to privatemoneyclub.com, Steven. Is that right, Joseph? If they want to create their profiles, I think you just go to privatemoneyclub.com and create one. So this is the deal section. Okay, deal section. So you can post your deal. All you got to do is cruise over to post my deal and enter the address. It's going to populate. Make sure it's a real place. And basics, deal name, financials, images, any details, any extras that you want to add. You could add a home inspection. You could add a scope of work. You could add a comparable sales package. You could add a little information about yourself if you have a document or a packet or a flyer about you and your real estate business, right? And really, in less than a couple of minutes, you just come over, click post, and your deal will show up right there. It's pretty awesome, pretty cool. I think next week once when I go to post, what I might do is I might just do it live next week. I'll actually show you how long it takes to do. It's really not that long. Let's check out some deals here, right? Let's see what we got. Jamie Davis. She's offering a 12% return. Safe, simple, secured, beautiful spot, right? This looks renovated already, right? Come down here. Okay, so she's got all the financials. She's got all the information about it, right? And Jamie's a lawyer. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it says that in her profile, but if I like the deal, actually, let's look. If I like the deal, I can come over and I can click on her profile and then I can read all about her, right? She's got 13 years of legal experience in contracts, compliance, and commercial transactions. Hey, that sounds pretty legit right there, right? She's taken the certified borrower course, right? And you can see the past posts that Jamie's made within PMC. Pretty cool stuff. I would then come, so number one, post or no, profile, post in the two different spots, right? And then we come over here, and what do? We if you're looking for ways to participate, you can participate. Different classes, right? The borrower certification course is right here. Lender certification course. There's an introduction to contract law that you could take, right? Money School Essentials replay, all kinds of stuff. Replays. This is a really great, if you're like, hey, I don't really know a whole lot about real estate. This is a great real estate class. They call it the Performance REI Masterclass. It's on demand that you could take, right? And then you can get to different events within PMC. If you're coming into this and you're like, Noah, I just dropped in from an airplane. I have no shoes on my feet. I don't know anyone in Private Money Club. I don't even know where to start or who to talk to. I would create my profile. I'd hop on and have a blueprint call with Joseph. And then if you had a deal and it was hot and ready and you're in a crunch, I got to get this figured out. I'd cruise over to the member section and I would just type in here, lenders, borrowers, whoever you're looking to connect with. And and you're going to see people that pop up and you can go out, start reaching out to them, right? Hey, I'd love to set up a call with you. I'd love to learn more about your business. I'd love to hear about your goals. Like, let's see if we can work together, right? I'm not going to name names, but we have passed a few of or at least one of my lenders so far in the short time that I've just been scrolling through here, right? A lot of these people I've become really good friends with over the years through Private Money Club, and a lot of these names are looking familiar, right? All right, cool. So yeah, so you guys isn't this cool? Is this good stuff? So if you're not in PMC, go do it. Why not? All right, and then I'm gonna cover here, go back to a little bit of education. Any questions on this? Any questions on anything here? Anything you want me to click on or look at or see? No? Okay, cool. If you think of something, let me know. We've got a couple more minutes. We've got 12 minutes, and I'm gonna pull up something that I pull up every week that has a ton of value, especially if we have new folks on the call. I have this like checklist, and I call it our non-negotiables. Okay, and this works for borrowers and lenders. Now, I'm not saying this is the end all be all. I'm not saying that this is everything and but this is better than what I see a lot of people doing within the club. Okay, as a borrower, my goal when I'm presenting deals to the lenders is how can I make this as easy as possible to say yes. So what that involves is gathering all the information that a lender might need in order to make a decision. Right? I see too many people inside and outside of PMC that they're like, hey, I need money, and they don't provide any of the data, right? And so keep in mind, like the same things that a hard money lending company would want, we need to be putting those things together for our private lenders. Okay, the same things that a bank would want, we need to be putting those things together for the banks. Now, if you are a lender, this is what I would be asking for, right? So it's a nice little checklist here where both can work off of it, all right? So presentation check. So at the top, this is kind of like I'll create a Google folder or some sort of Dropbox or whatever system you might use, and I'll create files and I'll have each of these items in that Google folder, so that when I do post a deal on Private Money Club, someone says, "Hey, Noah, I'm interested." Boom, I can immediately send them over this top section here. Okay, so what does it entail? So it's pictures of the properties, video walkthroughs inside the property, outside the property. I also do a video walkthrough of like the neighborhood, surrounding area. Exit strategy letter talking about who my real estate attorney is, the plans for the property, what our intent is, terms of the loan that we're looking to offer, things like this. If it's the property's on the MLS, I'll provide the MLS printout. My real estate agent will put together a beautiful comparable sales package that helps show what I believe the property is worth in its current condition and in its fixed up condition, property tax information, the scope of work that I've created to figure out how much money is going into the repairs, a copy of the contract showing that I'm actually purchasing, and then I usually throw in a copy of my slide deck, my PowerPoint slides. Because remember, with Private Money Club, you can present on Mondays to the community. So if you've already taken the time to put that together, why not showcase that in this package here too, right? So that's the top section. Now, if someone looks at that information and they're like, wow, this looks like a pretty good deal, right? I can lend here, the value is going to be worth here, right? You still have to check out the person. Okay, I want to make that very clear. Like I Google them, if anything. Like, right? So like Google them if you have to. Like it's okay to ask for a credit score and things like. Sometimes people think private money lending, oh, there's no credit involved, and well, it might not be as important to a private lender as it is the bank, but it doesn't mean it's a faux pas or to ask for these things. I don't know if faux pas is the right word or not, right? Or taboo, maybe. I don't know. But you can still ask for these things, right? So what I would look for when it comes to underwriting the person, I'd want to know like what their experience is, right? Do they have experience? And if so, can they list the address of those properties? I call that the experience worksheet, right? And if you need help with this stuff, like I do teach this in the accelerator class through Private Money Club. If you want to talk more about this, Joseph can talk to you about it. Personal financial statements, I think, are okay to ask for, right? Private Money Club has an Excel spreadsheet that you can use if you're like, I don't even know where I would get this information. I think you could definitely ask for a copy of their driver's license, their LLC documents to make sure they are a part of the LLC and things like this, the people that you're working with. And then inside of Private Money Club, there's also something that we call the perfect loan proposal that it's like a template for you to showcase your company, right? And so if you are a PMC team member, I would include that, right? And I'm telling you, get all this stuff ready. All of the information at the top I have in one folder, all the information in the middle section there I've got in another. So when my lenders say, hey, this looks good, can you tell me a little bit more information about you? I want to get to know you. Boom, I can send this over to them. Hey, here I am. This is me, as the greatest showman would say. And then last but not least, are the documents. Now, these are items that, like the mortgage, the promissory note, personal guarantee, this is not something that I'm writing. This is not something that I've drafted. This is not a fill in the blank type of thing. Anytime we're buying real estate, we're using real estate title companies, we're using real estate attorneys, professionals, right? And those are the types of people that should be drafting these documents for the lender. As a lender, for my lenders that are on the call right now, it's your responsibility to get the paperwork in order that you want the borrower to sign, right? So you got to make sure this stuff is in order. Now, I look at all of these things here, this checklist, I look at this like a suit of armor, right? And so, do you have to have all of these things? Do whatever you want, right? But the more that you have in place, the more armor you have all over your body that's protecting you, right? I would even go and I would add referrals to this. And so if you're thinking about lending money to someone, ask them for some referrals, right? And the more that you put in place, the more armor we have on, right? Anytime that there was an issue with a past friend or someone in my network that came to my wife or I and said, "Hey, we're struggling to get paid back from this person." Sometimes deals take longer. Sometimes deals, things don't work out. Real estate's not perfect, right? Sometimes things happen. However, they're more likely to happen with certain individuals than not. And if you ask these questions, you require these things, you work off of checklists like this, similar to this, the odds of working with people you're going to be happy that you chose to work with are going to be higher than not, right? And so you got to have something. If you're on this call right now and you're seeing some of these things for the very first time and you're like, "Gosh, I didn't even think that we needed to do these things," I would highly recommend taking the accelerator class, or just learning about private, if it's not from me or PMC, from someone, before you just jump into it, right? I hope you guys can appreciate me saying that too. All right, so any questions on that, let me know. I've got one more slide I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to find it because this is the quick start webinar, right? So hopefully I gave you some ideas and different things that you can just, jump into, right? And you can create your profile. You can get started, right? You can make posts in Private Money Club, right? There's things here that, all right, so what's going on? What if I was on this call, and I wanted help, I wanted to know what my next steps were. Here's what I would say. Just make a move. Make a move. If you don't have a PMC profile yet, go create one. If you have a PMC profile, but you haven't talked to any of the team members from Private Money Club, like Joseph, I would schedule what we call a blueprint call. I would click on the link in the chat box and pick a day and time that works for you and hop on the phone with Joseph and say, "Hey, this is where I'm at. I'm a real estate investor. Hey, I'm brand new. Hey, I just got my IBC policy going. It's not funded yet, but when it's funded, I want to make sure I'm ready to rock and roll. Like, what do you recommend?" Right? Like, just talk to the team. This is what they do. If you are a Premier member and you haven't taken the certification courses yet, take the certification courses. Why wouldn't you? They're a part of your membership, right? They're included. If you haven't taken my accelerator class yet, and you want to, you could see yourself spending a couple days with me twice a week for 4 weeks. We start January 5th. This is designed for borrowers and lenders. And so no matter what side, I teach from both sides of the coin. And I think that to be a great borrower, you have to understand what the lenders are looking for. And to be a great lender, you have to understand what's important to the borrower. So I encourage everyone to be on the calls as we teach from both sides of the coin. That starts January 5th. Okay, January 5th. We just wrapped one up yesterday. The September class wrapped up yesterday. All right. Bus tour. If you're interested in something like that, you can talk to the team, but I don't know new dates for that. Again, this is a past slide. And anytime you have an opportunity to go to a money tank event, I would highly recommend taking advantage of it. You guys saw what I was talking about earlier when we hopped on the calls, the value of that. But starts with the Private Money Club profile. At a minimum, I would come back next Thursday. All right, Bernice, good luck. I hope to find you in Private Money Club. All right, message me. All right, message me and connect with me in there. Noah Harris and Christy Duckett Harris. Let's connect, and I'll see you inside of PMC. All right, everybody, have a great day.